Hello, good morning. Uh, Today we will cover an important and interesting topic, which is cost volume profit analysis. In some places, you may see break-even analysis or a similar name. So it's an important topic and frequently used for decision making. If we look at our aims and objectives of our module, we can say we will use some uh, tools that will help us in making long-term and short-term decision making. So this chapter is an important chapter that will help us in making different day-to-day problem solving or day-to-day decision making of the organizations. All right. So, cost volume profit analysis for single product. We will see multiple product maybe in next module, but in this module, we'll look at only cost volume profit analysis, which are mostly relating to a single product. That means if an organization sell only one product, okay? So what we will find out here, what we will try to see in different problems. So what is break-even points? So how many units or how much sales the organization should make to be at break-even point? That is, organization will be in a position where its total revenue equals total expenses. So there is no profit, no loss. And also we will analyze target profits or target profit analysis. That means we will try to see how much organization would require to sell if they want to achieve a particular amount of profit. And also another point or another important issue is margin of safety. That means how long or how far the organization is safe from loss. So what's the safety margin of the organization at the moment? So we will look these issues from this chapter. Break-even analysis. So break-even analysis, what we mean by break-even analysis, the study of how cost, sales, profit changes with changes in volume. So if volume changes, what will change in cost? What will change in sales? What will change our how much our profit will be impacted because of change in volume. Break-even analysis is also known as cost volume profit analysis, as I mentioned before. Can be done. There are different ways that we can perform this analysis. It can be a mathematical way using different sorts of ratio, different sorts of equations, or it can be the analysis can be done using graphs, drawing graphs. Okay, based on the information given, if we draw a graph, then we would be able to find out what is our break-even point, how much organizations should sell to be at break-even point. So before going to the analysis or performing any mathematical analysis, we have to make sure that we understand some terminologies. Particularly, one of the assumptions of this cost volume profit analysis is we would be able to differentiate between fixed cost and variable cost. So if the total cost is given, then how much of the cost is fixed and how much of the cost is variable, we should be able to differentiate between these. So if we don't know, if we don't understand these terminologies clearly, and if we cannot identify the amount of the organization, cost of the cost amount of the organization, how much is fixed and how much is variable, we would not be able to perform our analysis appropriately, and we would not be able to make appropriate decisions. So what is fixed cost? Fixed cost, as we know, these are the costs which do not change with volume of output. So as we say, volume changes, but in this case, volume changes will not impact on fixed cost, certain amount of cost. It may be insurance cost, it may be rent, it may be the depreciation. So these are the costs that will remain fixed, though the volume of activity in the short term changes. And obviously, in total, the fixed cost means the cost which remain fixed in total, irrespective of the change in level of activity or within a particular range of activity. But obviously, as you go forward, if you produce more units, more production, more sales, then cost per unit, cost for one particular product will reduce or decrease gradually with the level of increase of the production. And on the other hand, if production decreases, gradually the cost per unit will increase. So this is how the fixed cost behaves with the level of activity. If you see, this is the level of activity, and obviously this is the fixed cost curve. That means if the fixed cost here, you say 10,000, the text 10,000 will remain fixed until a particular range of activity, though the level of activity, that is, if you produce, say, for example, here at 100 units or 200 units or 500 units or 1,000 units or 2,000 units, your activity changes within this particular range, but the fixed cost, the total cost, remain unchanged. Secondly, variable cost. The variable cost, as you know, variable cost means the cost which varies, changes in total. Obviously, in total again, the total cost will increase if the volume of activity increase, or if the volume of activity decrease, the total variable cost will decrease. Okay, so level of activity, with the level of activity, the cost which increases or decreases, the total amount increases or decreases, is the variable cost. All right, so it can be wages or salaries or raw materials or cost of sales. Usually depends on the level of activity that you do. So if activity increases, so if you want to produce more units, then what will happen? Your cost will increase. Okay, and in case of per unit, cost for one particular unit will remain unchanged. It's obviously for a particular period of time when you determine, or for which you determine the cost. For that period, cost per unit will remain unchanged. So this is the total variable cost curve. So if activity increases, okay, the cost increases as well. Okay, so this is variable cost. So break-even point, as we mentioned before, break-even point means where the organization earns no profit or no loss. That means total revenue equals total cost. Okay, total revenue and total cost equals. So total revenue minus total cost is equal to 0 ultimately. That means it is break-even point. All right, and you can say, if you draw a curve, okay, then you will see the total revenue and then total cost curve. So at which point the curves intersect each other, okay, cross each other, is the point of break-even, the break-even point. So we can see, if we draw, this is what it should be, starting from 0, and this area is, you can say, the revenue, the amount, and this area is the quantity, level of activity. And if it starts from 0, that means it is sales revenue. Okay, sales revenue, total sales curve. All right, so, and this is fixed cost, obviously, right? It's parallel to the horizontal level. Okay, no changes because of activity. So this is fixed cost, and from fixed cost, okay, so this is obviously total cost. All right, total cost, because fixed cost, total cost will start from fixed cost. Okay, because the fixed cost plus variable cost. the increased amount is the variable cost, so is the total cost. All right, so total sales and total cost, where the these curves intersect each other, this is what is break-even point. This is what is break-even point. All right, where total sales and total cost intersect each other. If you see, if you draw a line from the break-even point to downwards to the quantity, you'll see break-even level in quantity, amount in quantity. And if you draw a line from the break-even to the vertical line, you will find the break-even level of revenue or sales amount. All right, break-even sales. Okay. All right, so the total in this particular point, okay, this is the amount where total revenue, total sales, and total cost is equal. All right, so this is the break-even point again, if you see, and this is the relevant range of activity. All right, and before break-even point, okay, you can see before break-even point, total cost is higher than total revenue. So this is sales revenue curve. So this is revenue. The revenue is lower than sales. That means this is the area of loss. So cost is higher and revenue is lower. So that's why this is the area where organization up to this point, okay, before this organization actually in a position of loss. And after break-even point, okay, where the revenue curve is the upper level. That means revenue is higher than cost. Okay, so this is the area of profit. Okay, this is the area of profit. And this is an angle. It has an interesting name as well. This is the this angle indicates what's the profitability of the organization. The higher the angle, the higher the profitability of the organization. Yeah, so the profit area, and yeah, you can draw this way, right? So and you can see this is the break-even point, right? And before this is the loss area, and after this is the profit area. Okay, the units of production, and yeah, if you see the profit and loss area clearly, more clearly. All right, so let's see an example. Obviously, there are some assumptions and some limitations of break-even analysis. I'll tell you after. So let's see an example. ABC manufacture mountain bike. ABC mountain bikes company. So it manufacture bike derailleur, parts of gears in Coventry, and have the following budgeted sales and cost information. So sales price £12, variable cost per unit £3, and fixed cost for the for period. That means for, say, for example, 1 year is £45,000, and budgeted sales volume per period is 7,000. Okay, budgeted expected sales 7,000. So what it should be the break-even point? How much the ABC Mountain Bikes Limited need to produce to be at break-even point? All right. As we know, as I mentioned before, calculating break-even point, we need to calculate sales revenue, total sales, and we need to calculate total cost. All right. The total revenue will increase with the increase of number of units produced, obviously. And contribution is actually, what is contribution? Contribution is total sales minus total variable cost. So the excess of sales revenue over variable cost is the contribution. And the contribution is actually used to cover our fixed cost. Okay. So contribution will be equal to the fixed cost. So total contribution equals to total fixed cost at the break-even point. All right. So in case of ABC, the sales price is £12, and obviously a part of the sales price is contribution, and another part is variable cost. So say up to this is variable cost, and the remaining part is the contribution. And this contribution would be used to cover the fixed cost of the company to be at break-even point if you want to calculate break-even point. All right, so £9 is the contribution, that is sales price is 12 minus variable cost is 3. So 12 minus 3 is 9 is the contribution. So this contribution will cover the fixed cost. Okay, so if your total contribution equals to total fixed cost, then you would be at break-even point. All right, or total revenue equal to total cost, also the same. We'll consider the variable cost at that time as well. Okay, so break-even point, you can calculate break-even point in units if you want to calculate. So the total fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Okay, so the total fixed cost, as we saw before, 45,000, and contribution per unit, the 12 minus 3, that is 9 pair. So 45,000 divided by 9 is 5,000 units. So if the mountain bikes company produces and sells 5,000 units, okay, then the company would be at break-even point, that is no profit, no loss. And if you want to calculate break-even point in terms of sales revenue, sales amount, okay, then just multiply the break-even units by sales price, that is 12. So 5,000 times 12 pound is 60,000. So the sales, if the company can sell 60,000 pounds, then the company would be at break-even point. That is no profit, no loss. All right, so until this point where I want to stop, and then the remaining part I will go to discuss in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.